Alright guys, today we're going to be making some Russian supported spindles. These are made out of beech. So this is what they look like when they're done. So this style is a supported spindle, so it sets in a bowl. And then you do your twisting in the bowl. That way if you have very short staple length, you're spinning really thin, the weight of the spindle's out of the equation because it's sitting in a bowl. So if you're spinning cotton or something really, really fine, that's what those are for. All right. So this is beech. It is oversized, so I'm going to bring the diameter down. So we're just removing some of the mass. I'm going to back the tailstock off, see how it's running. Good. So I have this piece of wood that I have some lines on. It's a story stick, so I'm just going to transfer those lines over. So these lines made up with things that are going on the spindle itself. Hey guys, welcome in. So right now I'm just kind of blocking in the shapes. There's going to be some refinement in a little bit. So I'm going to leave myself about a ½ inch of material in here. So when we're done, that's going to come to a point. Alright. So we have this beginning part kind of blocked out. Now we're going to put this taper in. We're getting close. Lay the pattern on. Put a line at the end. Alright, so we have everything pretty much blocked in right now. This area here is on size. This is on size. So we could sand from there all the way down. We can sand that out and get that ready. So we'll turn the speed down. So we want to get as much done while it's still clamped in here. So while it's still between centers. So we do have the front half here in the 4-jaw chuck. So we will be able to cut the end off and then work on the front. We're going to turn the speed back up, then we're going to burnish the surface. I'm going to check the finish here. I got to do a little sanding here and here, so. A little bit there. Little burnish, and now we're going to add some wax. So smooth, kind of pretty. Hey Cobalt, how's it going? Carl, welcome in. So we are definitely making some progress here. All right, so I'm gonna focus on the very tip here. Is it a wand? You could use it as a wand. This is actually going to be a supported spindle for spinning yarn. But if I was making a wand, it'd be the same thing. This is all just spindle turning. Oh, we could try to Leviosa something. Oh, that's just magical. Alright. I know it's kind of dark because of my arm. So you can bring the light over. Now, from there down is finished. So we're going to chuck it up. And finish the bottom. Let's have a bowl here. So it is nice and balanced. It's spinning nice in the bowl. I just have to sand that part out. So I designed and made this little TPU insert that allows me to clamp it up without marring the surface. So get that clamp down. Any polish? I am just going to put some wax on it. And then it is going into a mineral oil wax bath. Hey Les, how's it going? So it is pretty shiny. This batch I'm using paste wax. So that's what I've got done so far today. Yeah, I'm just using paste wax. Hey, it works. All right. So yeah, so these are beach. So switch chips in there. Ah, there's plenty of that in there too. There we go. We'll try it again. Hello, 88. Sorry, I only speak English. Hey, R. Welcome in. Vibrations, oh yeah. All right. So right now we're just roughing. So when we start refining the shape, we're going to be a little nicer. Hello, welcome in. Snug that up. Yep, that's a spindle gouge. Oh, the one I was using was just a carbide. A carbide circle. Now we're gonna go to our skew. So we're going to leave about between a 1/2 inch and 3/8 here, just so we have some meat on here. We're turning the rest of it. What kind of wood are we working with? We're working with beech. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Skew gouge. Check the pattern. We'll sand her out. Thank you. Sand her out. All right, now we're going to burnish the surface. So we're going to take some wood chips, turn the speed back up. All right. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to open up the a translation app that will actually work. So now I have to download Google. All right. Let's see how the sanding went. Looks pretty good. So we'll add some wax. The handle is all crooked, bro. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, we'll just sand out the front here. Hello, Ellen. How's it going? Oh, that's nice and smooth. So today we're making Russian supported spindles. So if we want to pretend they're magic wands or those things they used to plant stuff with, or a vampire killer, that'll work too. So it's the 5th one I made today. Good to hear. Yeah, I really can't complain. Today's Monday, so we had packaging. We went to the post office, did a little thrifting, came back. They're for spinning yarn. So these are what came before the spinning wheel. Just a bit cold in Florida. A bit cold here in Wisconsin, too. Yep, so... yeah, so these are beech. I thought Anheuser-Busch, stole all the beech to Beechwood age everything. So supported spindles are for like making really, really thin yarns out of very, very short. So spinning is all about just putting twist into fiber. So this is wool because this is what I have here. I'm just going to grab a little bit. So I'm going to give it a twist, pull. Tap it on here. Oh no, they're going to get put to use. Actually, I really don't care. If the people buy them want to use them, that's great. If not, I don't care. Who's Richard Finley? I don't have a lot of room to work here, and I didn't want to change everything around, but you get the idea. So you put twist into the spindle, which transfers it into the yarn. So, yep. Oh yeah. Spindles are the definition of a simple machine. We've been using spindles since Neolithic times. The older you get, you realize there's really not that much new under the sun. You know, minus the whole, you know, electronic technology kind of thing. So these would be good for like spinning cotton. Hey, not a problem. So I'm just using a roughing gouge just to bring the diameters down. I'm going to see if I can just raise up the camera just a little bit more to get a little bit better view. See if we can get the whole thing in here. We come over here. And we'll try that for the rest of this one. How do I measure the diameter of the spindle itself? I'm using so I made this template, and then I'm using these calipers to define the thicknesses that I need. What else can I make? Well, on the lathe, I make a ton of spindles, a whole bunch of different types of spindles. I tend to make a lot this shape. Now these are suspended spindles, so they dangle. So this is my day job. For the most part, I make a lot of fiber tools, things for, you know, spinners, weavers, people who crochet, knit. How long do my tools stay sharp? I'll sharpen these depending on what I'm doing. I'll touch them up every couple days. So if I notice that, you know, they're not cutting as well as they used to, I have a slow speed grinder set up right next to me, and I can just go and touch it up real quick. How many can I make in a day? It all depends on what I'm making. I could make a few dozen. I could make probably 2 dozen of these in a day. If I'm making like the little other shafts, I can knock out like 40, 50 in a day. So, like these, you know, I'm not going to sell a ton of them. You know, if I put a bunch up, you know, I might sell, you know, maybe 6 in a week. So I will only I'll make these once every couple months or once a month whenever I need them. When I do I do festivals, I'll do fiber shows. So if I'm doing a fiber show, you know, I might sell quite a few over a weekend. But honestly, off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you. I want to say they're in the 20s, upper 20s. So, I'm actually looking it up right now. Yes, these are beech. They're currently 30. Yeah, these are beech. I also make them out of cherry, birch, and I believe that's all I have. I have made them out of walnut in the past, and if I got a chunk of purple heart, I'll make a purple heart one. Yeah, when one of my friends retired, he had a bunch of beech. So I'm kind of working through his beech right now. There we go. We'll chuck this up, fan it out, and see what we got. swing this back over. Mostly work with domestic lumber. Depends on what I'm doing, you know. I'm gonna stand the back of that up. Yeah, most of these are pretty domestic. The Turkish spindles I use a lot more exotic woods for. There we go. Yeah, for stuff like this, when I'm turning stuff, I kind of try to avoid oak, red oak especially, and like ash. Just because the pores are so open that by the time you get done machining it and sanding it, it's never really smooth. You know, the beech is a little bad too. It's a little more pory than I like. Yeah, I tend to use hard maples. I don't use soft maple much at all. Actually, we could go take a gander at my wood. Let's see what we got. I'm just waiting for it to come back on my screen here. You can do it. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of working through the wood I have now, and then I'm gonna go make a big purchase. All right. So we got our black walnut. We have some ash here, hard maple, bird's eye maple. Some leopard wood. This is bacote, as is this. Purple heart. Some more cherry, some more walnut. Some zebra wood. This is ligum vente. Got some Brazilian rosewood. Some Brazilian cherry, canary wood. This is white wange, also known as yaya wood. So, kind of the same thing. This is genuine mahogany. And a bunch of the same. So yeah, I'm pretty much out of, well, I have some maple. But yeah, got some cherry too. But yeah, my domestic woods are pretty much, my exotic woods are pretty much non-existent. But we're going to work through this stuff first. Do I mill? I do not. You know, I'll do some size changing. I'm very lucky. I have a lumber mill that's about a half hour away that carries a lot of hardwoods, a lot of exotic woods that you can buy cut-offs from, so you don't have to buy the whole thing. I don't know if it's obvious, but these are not my favorite things to make. I don't mind them. They're not really... I don't mind making them, it's just not my favorite. Hey Butch, how's it going? You try to mill if you can. Yeah, if you got access to trees. Now, I'm not a bowl turner, so I'm not always on the hunt for blanks. Yeah, if I'm cutting something down, it's going to be for firewood. So if you're just tuning in, we are making supported spindles for spinning yarn. We're actually machining beech right now. This is going to be my last beech one, and I'm going to move to cherry. Is there a woodcraft store near me? The nearest woodcraft is about an hour away. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in Fond du Lac, which is south of Oshkosh. So there's one in Appleton. The wood at Woodcraft is way expensive. Actually, I got this lathe at Woodcraft. Yeah, it's weird going to Woodcraft. You know, Technicool fired for bankruptcy, so they make all the Nova stuff. So Woodcraft had to scramble to find a different manufacturer. Looks like they kind of settled on Oliver. Oh, there goes that piece of sandpaper. Place called Old Coach. There's a mail order place in Wisconsin. It's called Okooch. They sell dimensional stuff. Oh yeah, Old Coach, Okooch. They're kind of down near, kind of by Madison, but not real. That's the place. Yeah, I've actually been to that mill. I went there once. So it's like a big shed, and there's like dogs everywhere. There's like 5 dogs running around, and it was during the summer. And I walk in, like none of the employees were wearing shoes; they were all barefoot, which I thought was kind of weird. They got nice stuff. The good part about going there is there's seconds. You know, they have on the website you can order, you know, by the pound. You know, there's seconds or whatever. But if you go to the mill, you can pick through it and pull out what you want. Yeah, they were very nice, very accommodating. So basically, the whole front, where their retail space, they're like shipping out of that space. So, you know, it's a little different. Yeah, the wood is nice. Yeah, it's a little drive for me. I think it's over an hour away. I'm glad I went. Kind of made me feel a little bit better about ordering stuff online from them. So I did have a catch, but we can fix it. I'm using my 40 grit chisel. So I work with my girlfriend. She does a lot of the online stuff. She does a lot of prep work and sanding for me. So she didn't get a lot of sleep. Give it a second. Yeah, 34. Yep. Oh yeah, that's nice. So, not a lot of vibration. Virtually none. There we go. I also make these bowls. That's pretty exciting. All right. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes just to kind of blow things off here. I'm going to be going to Cherry. Alright, so these are cherry. So we're going to mark the center. It does make a mess. So my exhaust is really good for picking up the fine dust. That's about it. Yeah, I've got a shop vac right next to me with a 2-stage collector on it, and it's not bad. Alright, so we're going to reset all the tooling. These were a bigger size. So we're making this size. Now we're going to make this size where it's a little bit smaller. Use 2 wet dry vacs. Yeah. So I have the big extractor there. We got a smaller extractor there. 1 shop vac. Two shop vacs. Got a 3rd shop vac around here somewhere. There's another one. It's in the back. And then 4 shop vacs. Now, DeWalt's Stealth Sonic are amazing. You know, they say they're half the loudness of a normal shop vac. And they really are. You can just talk right over the top of them. So I use this one with the CNC machine. Does a good job for that. And then I run a 2-stage dust collector on that as well. A Cyclone. We have a lot of material to come through. I didn't order these, I had these already, so. So when these run out, I will order some smaller pieces. Hey, Stefan, how's it going? Welcome in. Then link it together. Nice. So this extractor is basically here just to pull off the real fine sawdust. I don't want the real fine stuff flying around. Yeah, so anyways, my girlfriend is we got the packaging done today, so she wasn't feeling great, so I just told her just to hang out, watch TV. I can almost guarantee she's sleeping on the couch right now. And I really can't blame her. How tall is the lathe? Well, it's I could turn a 12-inch bowl on it, 12-inch diameter. As far as off the floor, it's at like belly button level. I can measure. I think it's probably 30 to the bed. It's probably 38 inches. Really, I want my tool rest just about belly button height. So the bed itself is about 33 inches. The tool rest is sitting at about 38, 39. Somewhere around there. So I just want a comfortable height to... Yeah, this stand that it's on, this table here, right? Yeah, whatever comfortable for you. You know, sometimes I see people turning and they're standing and it's like up to their chin. I'm like, what's going on? I got a little rust spot right there. up here. All right, we're gonna put an edge on my skew. Right? Just shows you can make it work, you know. Where there's a will, there's a way. All right, so I'm using CBN wheels, so cubic boron nitrate. So it's pretty much like a diamond wheel, except for the material is different. So since this wheel is never going to change size, I can use some setup gauges. So right now it's set up to be a 45-degree angle. That's what I use for my gouges. And then my skews, I use a 25. Now the reason I put the marker on there is to make sure that I'm taking material off at the cutting edge toe pick. We're a little dull here. So after my first pass, I got some on my thumb too. You can see that I haven't sharpened on the edges here. So we'll go back and do it again. Much, much, much sharper. Hey Milton, how's it going? We are actually making supported spindles for spinning yarn, but if you want to use them to Leviosa something, that's up to you. I guess we're gonna stick with that. Oh, I know, right? It's such a pain. When you first start turning, you're more of a spindle. You're more of a tool trying to sharpen. Real fine dust. You know, there's a lot of different ways of sharpening. You know, I was in a little 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 tool shed for a long time outside, so I had to avoid all the wet sharpening systems out there. So that's the reason, you know, no Torvec for me. Some people sharpen with like sandpaper. Some people have wet sanders, dry sanders. As long as you end up with a sharpened tool, it doesn't matter. So lathe tools, you're not going to sit there with a sharpening stone and, you know, hone them to be razor sharp like you would like a wood chisel. For lathe tools, having a little burr on them can be your friend. feels nice. So it is a pointy stick. So you can actually see the size difference between these. You have a person who sharpens your chisels? That's the way to do it. You know, carbide's also a choice. You know, I do use one carbide tool in this. So I also enjoy gluing magnets to things. So my pencil lives on my tailstock. Yep, have a good day. Yeah, I got about a half hour left in the stream. Maybe longer, depending if the girlfriend's sleeping or not. Last time I looked, she was watching How I Met Your Mother. So how's it going, everybody? Nice. We're gonna sand this one out. if you're just joining us, we are making Russian supported spindles. They're used for spinning yarn. But if we were making anything like a magic wand, spindles for furniture, for a banister, a baseball bat, wooden pens, that kind of thing, they're all spindle turning. So the tools I'm using kind of could be used to make all those other things as well. Same process, basically. I'm not the best turner in the world, but I've been making a living at it for the last 12 years. I've gotten a little better over the last 12 years. Which is kind of ironic. My father refused to get a lathe because they were too dangerous. So when I got my first shop, the first thing I had to do was go buy a lathe. Give her a test spin. Nice. Cool. There we go. This one's cherry. Got 2 cherry ones done. So we're going to mark the center. This is a little center finder that I made. I mean, I do have like the big commercial one. Little teeny tiny ones for pens. So this is my roughing gouge. I'm just removing material. These are just way too big for what we need. I'm gonna get my story stick here and lay out location of where things happen. So if you were just making one for yourself, you wouldn't have to worry about the caliper and getting all the dimensions the same and everything. But since I do sell these online, well, at shows and all over the place, I don't want to have to retake photographs all the time. So they don't have to be exactly the same, but they have to be pretty close. You want it to look like the picture. When you buy something, you don't want it to be totally different. You know, there's a little footnote that, you know, yours may not be the same as the one pictured. Now, these are not all going to turn out. There is a lot of variables with wood. There's internal stresses in wood. And you don't know if a little critter lived in there. Once you get into the heartwood, it's not so bad, but occasionally you'll hit a void that hopefully had something living in there, not something that is living in there. All the wood I use is kiln dried, so if there is something in there, it's going to be dead. But I've already worked with wood, and all of a sudden you come across, you know, some larva or something in there. Every once in a great while. When you get to the exotic woods, you start getting a lot more wormy little pinholes through it. Sometimes you run into maple where it'll be white and then there'll be discolorated kind of ribbons throughout, and that's from, you know, it being wormy. And it's not worms, it's more beetles. Definitely feels like a Monday. So yesterday I raked up all my leaves. Woke up this morning and it looks like I did nothing. I've got a couple silver maples in the front yard, and they hold on to their leaves until the hour before it snows. I swear to God. Oh, that's nice. Come on. There we go. Let's knock out one more, and then when I'm done, we'll go check on the girlfriend, see if she's sleeping. Thanks, Richard. Let's use the magic translation. Oh, thank you so much. Hello, my friend. Welcome in. Yeah, I feel very blessed that I'm able to do this for a living. I worked in factories for almost 20 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm never going to be rich. I'm never going to be wearing a top hat with a monocle. But not having to punch a clock is, for me, just a beautiful thing. So I am neurodivergent, so being able to work at my own pace, doing my own thing is just beautiful. So it took a long time, but being hyper-focused on something actually came in handy. Leave between 1/2 inch and 3/8 of an inch. That way it's not going to break. And when we get done, we can come back and cut that off. So these wood chips, will more than likely become fire starters. So I'll mix them in little Dixie cups with some wax. And then you throw them in the fire, light the Dixie cup up. You don't got to dink around with kindling and... I've been getting way lazy in my old age, so yeah, using fire starters are kind of nice. So when we package, we use thermal labels, and the thermal labels have wax paper, and we save those, and wax paper burns really nice as well for starting fires. So I'll put the fire starter in the bottom. Then on the top of the grate, I will put some of that paper down and put the wood on top. And by the time it works through, I don't really have to dink with the fire. But, you know, I'm very grateful that we do have a fireplace and I can burn my scrap. Right, so that needs to be more of a angle. Yeah, this cherry is gorgeous. I'm not exactly sure how old it is. This also came from my friend Hans. When he retired, he had a bunch of wood when they were moving. I got a hold of it. And he passed over a year ago. Probably going on 2 years now. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, so I designed and 3D printed that little TPU collet. Just lets me clamp it down without marring the wood. So this is old. It used to be much longer. So it's conical on the inside. So it's tapered. So you can put the taper in. You can clamp. Oh, that one's nice too. All right, I'm gonna go see if the girlfriend's awake or not. See how she's doing. See if I can make a couple more. We got to go home and make some dinner. All right, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. The girlfriend's ready to go home, and I can't blame her. So we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you later.